We're live already, I think.
Oh, wow. We are live, everybody. Hello, hello. It's Lynn and Carol and Ellie. And you know what we do on this $1 million mission? We make a toast before we say anything, right? So we're going to do that. Raise our glasses to everyone's success, right?
Cheers, right.
Cheers. And I'm telling you, tonight is going to be a good one. Tonight is going to be really good because what do our seven-figure earners tell us from time to time, Carol and Ellie? Are you thinking big enough?
Right, exactly.
Right? Are we thinking big enough, folks? Come on, we have to start thinking bigger. So anyway, this was really weird how, I don't know, after these hangouts, Carol and Ellie, we keep chatting and we have masterminds and, we like to connect off the hangout. But at any rate, I found out that Ellie was reading a book and like minds, right? So we're going to share with you the Millionaire Lessons, Making a Difference with Your Message. And it's a play on words, making a difference with your message, because the book I'm reading is Conscious Millionaire by J.V. Crum. I never heard of him. Sorry if he's looking in. I never heard of him. But it says, grow your business by making a difference. And Ellie, what are you reading?
And I'm reading The Millionaire Messenger by Brendan Burchard. Oh, now we do everything go. And Carol, you are reading?
The same thing?
Got to talk to you.
The same thing, exactly. Right.
So it's like minds, right? And this is the power of events as well, you guys, because we met at an event. And we got together and we just started talking, and I don't know, things just started happening, you know what I mean? And these are the partnerships that you form inside of a community like ours, and you get to talk to, you get to, ask questions of these seven-figure earners, six-figure earners, because the reason why you want to do that is because their path can lead us, right? Their path can lead us. Doesn't necessarily mean that you copy them or you have to do exactly what they do, but it helps you for your path, whatever $1 million path you may be on, that you can take away what they share. Okay. So what I thought we would do tonight, I'm going to start off with I just started reading this book, so I wanted to start off with kind of like a little paragraph of what he talks about, and because here's the thing, a lot of people for some reason are getting weirded out with this word entrepreneur. Some people get like offended when you say that you can become an entrepreneur. And let me just say that this guy confirms it. So many other seven-figure earners are saying the same thing, that entrepreneurs, as we knew them decades ago, it's different in today's world because of technology, because of the way that you can create a lifestyle now because of technology and the internet. I mean, literally, you can do that. So I want to read from this book. Got to put on my glasses, and then we're just gonna chat a little bit about it. And if you have any comments, if anything hits you about what I'm going to read, and it's not very long, then go ahead and put it in the comments below. Okay, let's get this conversation going about these millionaire lessons. Okay, so he starts off with saying, there is a shift in consciousness that is occurring all over the globe. Sorry. Shh. Sorry about that. It's real time. Okay. There is a shift in consciousness that is occurring all over the globe. One of the ways it is most evident is in the rise of entrepreneurs who desire to achieve a higher purpose. These entrepreneurs want to make an important contribution both by how they live and how they conduct business. Just like you, they seek a path for consciously growing their business by making a difference. And he says, some other things, but he gets into, he believes there's 2 stages now of capitalism, because part of an entrepreneur, obviously, is capitalism, and that is that, you're focusing on creating profits. So the first stage, he says, of capitalism is that singular focus on creating profits. But he believes that today's entrepreneur gives a new approach that he calls the second stage of capitalism, and he says it is from this second stage that the new entrepreneur path emerges. Unlike its predecessor, this new approach has the dual focus of achieving both a higher purpose and higher profits. When entrepreneurs choose to build a business based on heart desire to improve lives, organizations, and our world, both they and their teams become driven by a shared desire to make a difference. This more powerful, robust form of capitalism is fully expressed through Conscious Millionaire, this book. It combines the drive to achieve something bigger with a focus on all the stakeholders winning together. As a result, it becomes a path for not only creating greater profits, but also achieving a greater good in the world. The new path of entrepreneur combines profit with purpose. I'm telling you, this is the first part of the book. And when I started reading that, I was blown away, because it's everything that I have felt probably in my even in my young adult life and moving forward, but never been able to express it or understand, what it was that I was thinking or feeling or wanting to do in this world. And when we talk about world, I want to bring that down so you don't think like you're going to make this big, huge difference in the whole wide world. But it's your world, your space, the people that you touch, the people that you connect with. That's what we're talking about. So I'm telling you, I think this is a great start to start chatting about this. And if you don't mind, I'd like to hear from Carol or Ellie to find out, what do you guys think about that? The new entrepreneur.
Well, 2 things can hit me really hard. Well, first of all, the change in consciousness that you mentioned right off the bat. That's something that I hear in the world of metaphysics, mindset, and I also hear about it all the time in this business entrepreneur world. And it's so, what's the word, uplifting to hear that kind of a message, because of all the other quote-unquote crap, excuse me, that's going on in the world and that we hear about. It's fantastic to hear that. Secondly, there's something about that message. It's funny, you said that it was something that you've been wanting to express but didn't quite know where, how, whatever. That went right through to my soul, that message. And it really struck me, and I can tell you that book is next on my list. So that's what I have to say right off the bat, and I'll pass it along.
So I'm laughing. So the tagline on this book is "Making a Difference and a Fortune, Sharing Your Advice." I've already finished this book a few days ago and started reading the book Tribes by Seth Godin, and there's an incredibly similar message within that book also. I don't know if it's a new way of thinking. I think people always thought this way, but business didn't play this way. And now that thinking is finally coming into fruition. I know for me always, I don't know, I always had this thing of, well, if I can figure this out, then I can show other people how to do it. So I always had that thing about putting my hand out, and am always thrilled when somebody else puts their hand out, which is what, to me, which is why, and I mean hand out to say, here, if I can tell you what I know, I can tell you what I've done, You know, they're not going to do it for you, because if it was done for me, I wouldn't have really learned it anyways. You know, that's such an important thing. And then I'm laughing because I'm mixing these books together now, because Tribes is so much about that also. But this book here, what he says is everybody has a message. And you know what? We have a tendency, and industrial times taught us not that wasn't true, that your message wasn't important. So I think, again, we're finally stepping into, because I think we all knew, we always did, we all have a message. And that old way of thinking, and, you know, I mean, that's why school was created, to teach people how to be good factory workers. All right. That old way of being in the box, which nobody really liked. People benefited from it, but that doesn't mean that they were living fully from it. Okay? They benefited monetarily. There was the middle class grew because of it, of those times, but it stuffed people. You know, and we're definitely coming out of that stuffing, you know, and more into not even I think we got scattered, and now we're coming into, as Seth Godin would say, tribes, you know. But Brendan Burchard, his message is everybody has a message, and everybody is an expert. Not everybody will step up to being an expert. So that's interesting. That's belief systems, and, you know, that's some people maybe not really, I don't even know if it's wanting to do it or just not willing to go through. My biggest thing I hear from people, especially in our age group, you know, young like us, people get older, they go, I'm too old to bother with that stuff. And actually, your message is more valuable if you've been around a little longer, because you've experienced life longer. You have wisdom and antidotes and experiences to share with people, whether it is in personal development. Then everybody thinks you're talking about personal development. No, it could be gardening. Okay? It could be gardening. So somebody will go, oh, other people talk about gardening. Exactly. There's not just one book on gardening. You go and Google how many books are on gardening, and how many master gardeners there are, and classes, and, you know, it, because we all hear differently from other people, and we all end up in different tribes. That's really so. That book that you are reading now, Lynn, I wrote that down because it sounds like, oh my God, this sounds like I'm on a roll here now, you know, of stepping into that book too after this tribe book. But here, you can light the way for others. That's what it says right here on the back of this book. You can light the way for others. And I mean, that sounds corny, I think. You know, I always lived like that. I don't know why. I always had that thing about, oh, I could do this, and then I could show other people how to do this. I don't know where that came from, other than it comes from that connection, that we are all connected. And this word entrepreneur is not that sterile, steel word anymore. Entrepreneur really is that these people are entrepreneurs that wrote this book. The guy that wrote the book Lynn's reading. They're people who have stepped in and allowed their conscious voice out, or their subconscious voice. Maybe they allowed their subconscious voice to become their conscious voice. Okay. I'm done.
Yeah, and you know, when you mentioned about, you know, people, you know, as young as us, that, you know, that they can pretty much talk about anything. You know, it is your passion, your purpose, and that's what produces the profits. And that's what this book and Brendan Burchard also shares as well. You know, you have a message. We all have a message, and before we get to that message, we must know what our purpose is if we are going to build a business especially if this is something new to you. If you're coming from the corporate America, like, or corporate world like Carol and I did, or even self-employed, you're self-employed and now you want to build a business online like Ellie moved away from. So this is the new entrepreneur, and a new way of thinking, and the new rich, because it's a new way of putting your purpose, matching your purpose to your profits. So this is awesome. I mean, I'm so energized by this topic, because this is what I believe is we're the forefront. We're the people that are driving, this thought, this thinking, this way of living, this way of doing, right? And hopefully inspiring others to do the same. And the more we can talk about it, the more we can bring awareness to it, I think this industry is going to be so much better for it. And I love books like this. And, when he talks about this word capitalism, boy, do I know some people, they just like cringe, because they think, oh, money, money is such a bad thing, right? Because I remember my mom, she always had this negative connotation. And it's really weird, because she used to be a banker. She was a teller at a bank, right? And she had this negative about people that had money. Oh, there's just those rich people, and it's like, what, And so I never really had a healthy upbringing with money. I had to develop that myself. And, I worked in the lending industry for over almost 23 years. So I got a heavy dose of, financial institutions and money and all kinds of stuff. But that's what it's all about, is you've got to take what your world, your person, your being, and your purpose, and match it to your profits. And what we mean by that, then, you can build a business based on that. So, maybe you start with that. Maybe you're in a cubicle right now and you're thinking, I don't know what I could do. Well, think about your purpose. Why are you here? If you didn't have to go to work tomorrow and you had all the money in the world, what would you do? Right? What would you do? So I think that is the basis for this new entrepreneur, or this new way of thinking, or not. And like Ellie says, it's not really a new way of thinking, but maybe we're just bringing more awareness to it because of the internet, because we can, there's more voices out there and people can hear us, rather than before when we didn't have this technology age. So I'm going to pass this off to Carol now, because I know she probably has some really good input.
Wait, I'm jumping in on your
Ellen
turn.
wants to. Okay.
I'm jumping in, Carol, because here's the real question. When you ask people that question, if money made no difference, and what would you do? They all go, I'd be on the beach, okay? I'd be traveling. And you go, okay, after a year of that, the second year I'd be on the beach. And you want to know why it's not true? You wouldn't continually travel every day and do nothing and just sit on a lounge chair, all right? But here's the question. Here's the question. If you could make a substantial amount of money and work the kind of hours you want, okay, what would you do? There's the question. You have your choice now. You get to pick your job, career, whatever the hell you want to call it, okay? Business, whatever you're going to call it. You get to pick it, all right? You're going to make all the money you want, all right? So you're going to live really, really good. You're going to work the kind of hours you want, so it's not about hours. So you're still going to get to go sit on the beach, all right, in the lounge chair. What would you do? That's the question people have to ask, because we bullshit ourselves with that other question. Because we're all exhausted. Well, I'm not, but people that are working are all exhausted, and so they just want to go lay on the beach, and they think that's all they want to do. But after a year or 2 years of that, that's not true. That isn't what they're going to do. And I have to say, I'm reading the comments here, and Raymond says, boomers rule. And Irene says, we do have the wisdom and the knowledge we have to share, and we have to share with as many people as we can. And you want to know, so we're talking about boomers here right now. So this is for everybody here. But in internet marketing, I'm going to tell you, from what we've seen now, and especially the company we're aligned with, and just from knowing other companies and all now, at least one third are boomers. And boomers are usually the loyal people also. They're not flighty. They get in. They understand. We're going to learn this, and I'm going to find my message, and I'm going to perfect it. And in traditional outside network marketing, business like that, it's huge boomers, probably half, if not more, are boomers. So this idea of, oh, I'm too old or what have you, this prime time of experience, life experience, wisdom, and a message. And if you're in your 40s and you have that too. But I'm just saying, it's amazing that people get over their 50s and they start saying, I'm too old, where it's like, oh my God, you're stepping into a whole other era of your wisdom. What you could be doing with your life is amazing. All right, I'm getting off my step stool. Sorry, Carol.
Was worth it. I have so many stories running through my mind right now, it's hard for me to decide which one. I'm going to go with this one. I worked for many years with a company as of late, 22 years with the same company, and left it last year. I worked with some wonderfully bright people, interesting people, people who felt trapped, people who thought there was no way out, and people who saw their job as drudgery but continued because, like I said, they felt trapped. This last June, I had been in communication with another coworker of mine who is a nurse, and she was feeling that same way and didn't quite know how she was going to break loose, but you knew within you that she was going to make it because she just couldn't, she was at her wit's end. She just couldn't take it anymore. The story is that she became an entrepreneur. She started her own business, and of all things, she's a dog sitter and a dog walker. And her business is so expansive that she has to turn people down at this point. We had a lovely conversation last night. It was I thoroughly enjoyed it. But going back to the other people whom I used to work with, there was one there who's probably in her late 30s. I don't know. She has 3 kids. Her husband's in construction, and she's a professional counselor. And the conversation I had with her last June was, I don't even know what I could do. I don't even know what I want. So I talked to her about, an exercise that we could do where we could hone in on what her interests might be. And she said, oh, great, I'd love to do that. So I took her phone number, her home number, and her email address. And a couple of days later, I emailed her and said, let's get together on the internet or something, and we'll see what we can do. Several days went by. I didn't hear from her, and finally she sent me a note. She said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. She said, I know I feel trapped. She said, but I don't know what else to do. So for right now, I'm going to stay with what I am. So she was so, I'm going to say, scared, so overwhelmed, so beaten, so confined, so in that box that she couldn't even allow herself to think outside that box, let alone even make I mean, I wasn't going to, push a business or anything down on her. I just wanted to talk to her about what she might be interested in besides what she was doing, because I knew she was no longer interested in that. She just could not go there. So what's my point? My point is that my message, I feel so deeply for these people, having been there myself for such a long period of time, that I so want to reach these people. And that's the message that I want to get out. And apparently I'm not quite doing it yet because or unless it's just this particular person, but I didn't reach her. But I so want people to know that there are alternatives. There are alternatives. You don't have to, jump ship right away and, have nothing to do and need to go to the food pantry and all that business in the meantime. I'm not saying that at all. As a matter of fact, if you have a job, that's the best time to begin to think elsewise, because you have your income coming in, you have your standard of living going, and you can. It's a jumping off platform. You can go from there. I don't know. I'm so wrapped in this. That's it. I can't go any more for right now.
Well, Carol, you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because, as you know, we have similar stories because I was in, corporate world for 3 decades. And I remember when we were in Arizona and I was managing that bank, that mortgage department, great job, benefit, all that stuff. I will always remember looking out that window, and I feel like, when you were describing that woman that you were just talking about, and just saying, is this what life is supposed to be like? I mean, and I was thinking about my day, okay, I get up at the same time, I basically do the same routine, take a shower, put on my do my hair, put on my makeup, put on my clothes, get our son ready, get him fed, and we're out the door. And it's the same thing, get him to daycare, you know what I mean? And I was this corporate robot, and I put that on my blog now that I'm an ex-corporate robot mom, Our son is 22 years old now, but I remember those days and looking out that window and feeling just like what you were sharing about that woman, basically overwhelmed, thinking, I can't believe I'm going to live the rest of my life this way. I felt like I really felt like I was trapped, kind of like almost in a jail. And other people would be looking in going, geez, you've got this great job and, all this kind of stuff. But it was like, money isn't everything. And I know we say that and some people go, oh, yeah, right, but it really isn't, because we had money. We could do things that we wanted to do, but in a limited basis, because we had to ask permission to go on vacation. We had to ask permission to take a day off for, with our son. I mean, those are limiting things to your life. And life is more important than the money, because, see, you can build your life around the income that you make. So even if, let's say you get a whole whopping $3,000 a month right now from your job, right? Well, what if you can make $3,000 a month working on a laptop computer where there's an internet connection, so you could go to the park, do your work while you're watching your kids play on the jungle gym or whatever, right? Isn't that a better way of life than sitting in a cubicle or sitting in an office looking out a window and thinking, wow, is this it? Is this life? This is the way life is supposed to be? So it was those turning points that led me and now Denny. I mean, Denny is my husband, Dennis, no, I call him Denny, I call him Den sometimes, and he's been in construction now for, gosh, shoot, I don't know, 10 years or so. And so, it's time for him. We're working to retire him, and then have more of a freedom lifestyle, because he's still kind of strapped to his job. I mean, it's a self-employed job, right? So I'm glad you mentioned that, Carol, because we do have to share that message of please do not feel trapped. This is our $1 million mission. This is for you to know that there are alternatives, and we're here for you and for your success, and to help you to understand that you can make other choices, and we can show you that. We can show you what we're doing, to change our lives, to change our income, and to change, to live our dreams. So thanks, Carol. I'm glad that you brought that up. So Ellie.
I'm jumping.
Ellie, go ahead.
I gotta jump in because
we'll go the other way around.
I thought it was my turn anyways. Whatever. Yeah, I got confused. Now I forgot what I was going to say. You see, you gotta seize the moment, okay? No, I didn't forget. Maybe I did. Holy crap! Oh, about that woman, because I'm laughing because I know what Carol was going to do. She was going to bring her through a process. That's all she was doing. It wasn't about business, or it was about, because so many people, when they're in that cubicle, that trap, whether that cubicle is a real cubicle, which many are, or it's just a cubicle of the mind, all right? So many people don't even know, like we said when we started out, what could I do? Could be my message? And so there's a process that I've done and that Carol does, that you can bring somebody through, because you have to like reawaken like those real dreams and those real feelings. When you say to somebody, usually over 40, or even in their late 30s, what's your passion? They're like, huh? Because they're already working for a lot of years. They're like, huh? Passion? Huh? What are you talking about? And then this thing I had to, when you said this earlier, you were talking about money. And we mentioned it again, where, money's not everything. Of course money's not everything. It's a tool. And, but in this changing of consciousness, the changing of entrepreneurs, maybe it's the changing of the guard, okay, with entrepreneurs. There was a time, I think this is changing now, where people would look at, if you were doing like good things to people, like personal development, or if you were a priest or the preacher or what have you, you shouldn't be making a lot of money. All right, that's interesting. So it was okay for the pimp to own a big fancy Cadillac. It was like, okay, oh yeah, the pimp owns the big Cadillac, and it was not okay, and people still can feel like this, for the preacher to own a big fancy Cadillac. Now, if that preacher, okay, is doing good work and his congregation is flourishing, just like the pimp, okay, and actually, I don't know how well his people are flourishing, but he should be able to buy and afford a big fancy Cadillac. So it's this crazy idea. You were talking about that. I was a bank teller. My first full-time job, I worked in a bank. But I was brought up with crazy beliefs about money. And a lot of times people need to address that stuff. You need to get honest about that crazy belief you have about money, because that is the stuff that's holding you away from it. Big time, big time. I'm quiet now, Carol. I won't go to turn no more.
Go ahead, Lynn. Do you want to answer that?
I'm going crazy with this stupid microphone. I click, 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 and it won't come off. Well, first of all, I didn't know you were a bank teller, Ellie. That cracks me up. But you know what? It reminds me too, because I don't know if people know this, but I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. I was born in Detroit, in a hospital in Detroit, and raised in west side of Detroit, in a subdivision. And so money, I mean, I remember my dad, I said, don't I need to, start saving money? And he goes, yeah, you can. It's not like, oh, yes, you need to save your money or anything like that. Yeah, you can, this kind of thing. And I'm like, well, because I saw some other friends are like, they're showing me, remember the passport savings books that you would take into the bank and they would hand stamp it and write in, when you made the deposits, right? And I remember those days, and I was thinking, well, I want to do that, that just felt cool, you know what I mean, to me. But my parents never said, oh, you need to save, no, they never even said that. And I was the first, I'm a twin, and I was the first born twin, okay, of 6 kids total. So I just started doing this savings account. And it got to the point when I turned 16 years old, I had enough money in there where I bought my own trip. My best girlfriend at the time, her and I, we bought a trip to California. And that's how I knew that I wanted to live here in California. Little did I know everything else that was going to, happen. But that was the first time I ever left, where I was born and raised, right? So when Carol mentioned that about money, that's true. We all, if you think back when you were small, how did you think about money then? And then in your teens, and in your 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and however old you are today. Look at the stock market. Goes crazy the other night. What do people do? They panic and they pull out their money. It's like, okay, you've got to think about what, the purpose is for this money, and it is. It's just a resource. That's all it is. Money, money is energy. It's, you can always produce money. I mean, think about it. There's an exercise you can do where you can literally, I think David Wood, in one of the trainings, he says, sit down, or no, maybe it was Aaron Rashkin, sit down and think about 100 ways that you can get money today, right now, right this minute. And, when you sit down and think about it, you really can. There are lots more than 100 ways to get money. There really is, other than robbing a bank or doing anything unethically or anything like that, you know what I mean? There really are. I mean, you could, collect pop cans or, whatever, plastic, and, go take them in and get money today. Do you know what I mean? You can go sell your car. You can sell your TV. You can get rid of your cable. There's like more than 100. Who knows how many different ways. But people don't look at that. They look at this pie in the sky when it comes to this online business thing, and they think that if they join something and they have this site, this website, that all of a sudden money is supposed to appear. Rather than, we were brought up, folks, to work for, whatever goals that we wanted to accomplish. So, I don't know, I know I maybe have gotten off on a tangent because of what Ellie was talking about with the savings account and our thinking of money. And I think it lends itself going back to the way we think about this word entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is actually a very, very good word for people that are individuals that want to do something different in their life. That's how I look as an entrepreneur. And so they do find a different path to, to reach their goals. So anyway, we'll hand it off to who now? To Carol. Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm going to launch into a couple other stories here. I'm a social worker. I love stories. I love the backstory to where people, how they got to where they are. And I'm going to tell the story of Brendan Burchard, as he tells it himself in the book, The Millionaire Messenger, of how he got into his business. He was a very young man. I think he was like 20, something like that. And he had just broken off with his girlfriend, and he ended up going with a buddy of his. He followed a job to the Dominican Republic. And they were out one night, and they were driving too fast on a brand new road, new construction, with no road signs, no lights, whatever. And they were unable to negotiate a curve. And the car went off the road and flipped and flipped and flipped, and they went flying and bleeding and broken bones. And by all means, they should have been dead. But, he like stood up, and it's like, holy mackerel, I'm still here. And three things came to his mind right away. One was, my God, did I live? And the second was, did I love? And then he asked himself, did I matter? So such a young man to have that insight, to ask those questions of himself when he got rehabilitated and fixed up and what have you, and back to the States again, back home, he just felt this compulsion to share this story, this insight with people. And he found some people were like, yeah, oh, that's nice. But other people, somehow he found his way into this like guru entrepreneurial thing, and he met up with some right people who encouraged him and connected him with other right people. And rather quickly, he was able to earn a lot of money by sharing his story. But his first goal was not to make money, per se. It was to share this story and to uplift people and to hopefully kindle within them this insight that he had. And he found that he was an expert in telling this story and sharing his message. And that's where he came up with the idea that everybody is an expert in something. You know something that somebody else doesn't know. You've accomplished something that somebody else hasn't. Acknowledge it in yourself and utilize it for the two purposes that you mentioned in that book, Lynn. To help other people and to make a profit. And I think I said he rather quickly became a millionaire because he was so well connected and just was very good at what he did. So that part of the book really struck me. I love him. I love his way of writing, and I just love him. I love his message. And at the very end of the book, he told a story about a young woman who was in a class that he was conducting on public speaking when he was a graduate student. And everybody was assigned, different times to give speeches, and she never gave her speeches throughout the year. So he didn't even bother to put her on the final list, when everybody was going to give their final speeches. And one day he looks out of his office door and he sees her standing there, and she comes in and says, "Brendan, look, I'm going to ask you, is it possible for you to put me on this list?" She says, "I know I'm not going to pass. Doesn't matter. I have to do this." So he put her on the list. He gave her a time and a day to give her speech. He coached her every day in between in terms of self-esteem and what she needed to do and how she could think, public speaking, et cetera, et cetera. And she showed up when it was her turn to give the final speech. And all her classmates were kind of looking around, whoa, what's going on here? What's this all about? And she started to give her speech, and then she stumbled and panicked a little bit. And her classmates started saying, I forgot her name, I think it was Sarah. "Come on, Sarah, you can do it. Come on, keep going." And, more and more of them were chiming in. And finally, she found her voice again, and she talked way beyond her time that she was given. She said to Brendan afterwards, she said, "I have to thank you and tell you that you inspired me. Nobody ever told me that I had anything worthwhile to say." I mean, how sad is that?
I gotta say that is really sad. And how old was she, Carol? Do you know?
She was, I don't know, she had to be like 20, somewhere, give or take a little bit, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and so she would have been carrying that, through her 30s maybe and 40s, and maybe sitting there in her 50s thinking the same thing. So that's an awesome story. I got to read that book.
Yeah. So, it goes back to the thing that, yes, we all have messages. We have messages to deliver to people, and there are people who need and want to hear them. So, man, we got to keep talking. Ellie?
We for sure got to keep talking. So, Ellie, before you go, start talking, I just want to say, hopefully everyone will stay tuned here. We do have to leave a little bit early today because we have our Kalatu Premium training. And if you don't know what Kalatu Premium is, click the button below and just get it because it's the best platform on the planet. But also we have a special announcement to share with you as well.
Are you sharing? I want to say, so we're all sitting here, we're talking about you have a message. People aren't, many people are not brought up being told they have a message. If anything, that is my biggest message to people in the world. You have a message. You need to put out your voice. You are important. That's still the Industrial Revolution. We're still like coming off that crap. And so people writing books like this, and the book Lynn is talking about, where they're talking about consciousness and millions and messages and differences all in the same thing. And that shit used to all be separate. Like, because of that belief about money, and, people that don't have money are pissed off at people that have money. not about, it's not that those people that have money are bad. It's that those people who don't have money are suffering. I get that. Okay? And there is a system in place in the corporations that are, I'm sorry, folks, but they're set in place to keep you suffering. And if you're being honest, you realize that too. All right? So stepping out, bringing your voice out, whether you're 20 years old watching this and starting to do that now, because you should never count on one place or a career. We all learned that, you know. Or you're 50 or 60 or 70 years old watching this and realizing I can still put my voice out there today. You know, that's a really, really, really important mission. These all belong, integrated money and making a difference and your voice and being an expert. And for too long, I won't get into the political aspect of it, okay, but they were held apart for a reason. To hold us in our so-called places, and we are magnificent beings, and we did not be born to be held in places, which is why we're always like coming out, all right. So I think that is joining together more and more and more. And here's the most amazing thing: there's a banner right below this this video, and it's about a free ebook, which is about, you know, the art of story selling. It is by Chris Rushlow, and a lot of you on here today know Chris Rushlow, all right? And if you were at the event, you heard his story. If you don't know him, he is one of these conscious entrepreneurs. He truly is. He was doing it the so-called old way, the way that we were taught, and it wasn't working for him, and he wasn't satisfied. And when he started to come from his own message, his own story, his business turned around. So there's a free ebook right down there below that. Don't leave here without grabbing that free ebook. And as Lynn said, you know, there's a green button after that, all right, because we are leaving here in a few minutes, because we do need to jump on. I need to get food so that we can then jump on a great hangout with a great, I'm not going to use the word community, it's a tribe. A tribe of like-minded people who believe in all these things we're talking about. Consciousness and making money and making a difference and uplifting and honoring you who have a message. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
Wow, I think that's a great way to kind of take it out. Let me just say the special announcement is we have a special guest for next week. Okay, and we're not going to say who it is right now. So watch our Facebook. We'll put out probably maybe some, a sneak peek of who is going to be on our hangout. And Carol and Ellie and I were really excited to have this person, join us. So it's going to be fun, and I think you're going to really love, what this person will share. And it'll help you in your business. I mean, big time, big time. So other than that, Carol, do you want to have any final say?
I just wanted to say that this person is going to also help us get our message out.
That's right.
Yeah, very good point there, Carol. See how we kind of connect everything. It just happens this way. I'm telling you. This is just bizarre. Yeah, how we just all connect together. So okay, with that, we're really glad that who showed up at the live hangout here with us. We're really happy that you did. And our $1 million mission is, like I said, it's for you. We want to give to you as much as we can, so we all succeed. That's the whole purpose of our mission. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, keep leaving them below. And if you're watching the replay, I believe you can leave comments on the replay too. Is that right, Ellen?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
When it's on this page. So for the next week, you'll be able to leave comments.
Oh, okay. Okay. So other than that, you want to toast us out there, Ellie?
Toast. Carol, undo your microphone so we see you.
Microphone doesn't see.
You don't show up, and if you don't, now you have to say cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody.
You know,
Cheers.
really, here is to that conscious entrepreneur making a difference and making a fabulous living as we do it.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Amen.
Salud.
Mm. All right, now we're headed over. I know we're going to see some of you where we're headed to. We're headed over to the Kalatu Premium. You want to know how to do it? That's the green button, but don't forget to click that free ebook button while it's still there and it's still free. We'll see you next week.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.